It's gonna work on my phone too.
Mm-hmm.
18 people.
Okay. Do we see them in here?
Yeah, we're good.
Sweet.
Give a couple minutes for everyone to come in.
Yeah, I'm going to start just coming to here. I think next time we have to do calls in the future, just because it's way more consistent than the farmhouse.
Yeah. Everyone hear us? People comment?
Mm-hmm. Cool. Can I see it on the, you see it on LinkedIn?
I can see it on LinkedIn, yeah.
Sweet. Cool.
I can't have comments on here, though. Yeah. Oh, nice. Hey, Stacy. Awesome. We'll give it a couple minutes. Let people join in. Awesome. Using this on my phone. I'm new to StreamYard and streaming, everyone. This is our first live, so appreciate you coming in and letting us know it's working. Step one accomplished. All right.
Oh, there we go. Now it's connected.
Yours connected?
I just didn't see the comments coming in. Now I see it. Sweet.
Yeah. Awesome. We got about 33, 34. I mean, we can get, maybe give it like another 30 seconds and then dive right into it. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, it's 11. Let's just, let's get rolling. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to our LinkedIn Live, the first one that I've ever done. Same for you, Tristan, right?
Yeah.
Nice. So we're testing this all out, hoping to give you some insights and some value on your LinkedIn profile, how to take advantage of it as a recruiter on LinkedIn, stand out to hiring managers. The first part of this, I'm just going to make some points. Chris and I will go back and forth, but we want to make this more interactive. Definitely want to see some questions in the chat and kind of spend like the last 15 minutes really more focusing on kind of answering questions, potentially looking at a couple LinkedIn profiles of anyone that's looking at this and kind of giving some live feedback. So want to make it definitely more interactive for everyone here. So to start us off, why are Tristan and myself presenting? We've spent the last couple of years focused on helping our clients with their business development on LinkedIn. Tristan's worked in a variety of industries, government, tech, helping coaches, PR, helping me with the work with recruiters. I focus my work on helping recruiters in various industries. So we've helped generate millions for our clients on LinkedIn. And the first step is always fixing the LinkedIn profile. Embrace the LinkedIn beast. I hear a lot of recruiters, they want to focus on, looking at job boards for business or cold call and email, and all that is great. But for 90% of you, your hiring managers are probably going to be active on LinkedIn, right? The stats back it up. There's 65 million decision makers, 15 million open jobs. Your hiring managers are on LinkedIn, so you have to be able to stand out. The couple of the basics that we wanted to cover is your profile picture, right? Make sure it's a picture of you that gets 14 times more views than if it's a company logo, or just like that little gray circle. And then make sure to be visible to first, second, and third degree connections. That's something you can change in your settings. But I've seen a lot of recruiters that don't have that set up. So it's just one of those like basic things just to set up, just to make it more visible and have more managers, more people be able to see a profile. The 5 keys: make it look clean, be client focused, not on candidates. This is huge in terms of a lot of recruiters, especially when they venture out on their own or start their agency. They're so used to just working with candidates, talking, speaking towards candidates in their headline, their profile, and not actually showing hiring managers that they can solve their problem. And by doing that, candidates will also see that you have clients, have jobs, will probably have jobs for them kind of in their realm of expertise. So you got to more focus on kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone type of situation versus just being candidate focused. And then the 3 points you really want to focus on in your writing is what you do, why you're an expert, and who you've helped. And that's what we're going to dive into. These are a couple other examples. Clients what we've worked with and just that were more from a recruiting background, kind of made it more focused on business development, and they've been able to make multiple placements, and get a lot of opportunities and conversations just based on their profile alone. They'll have VPs and C-level people reach out to them because they see the problem that they solve is relevant. And then so I saw Ben in the chat here. Ben's cool. Ben's awesome. He started in the accelerator this month, and he was really focused on, he'd been an internal recruiter, was focused on candidates, was talking about, being a career advocate, which is all great, but he wanted more clients. So the first step we took was he implemented the background picture that was more relevant to industry that he had experience in, that he wanted to work on, agriculture and farming. So we made the headline direct and clear, and just spoke right to the hiring managers, right? Who he helps. Instead of just being a recruiter, he helps agriculture and farming companies grow their workforce. And so that's the first step. So when a hiring manager's clicking on the profile, if he sends a connection request or anything, the problem is going to show right away. It's going to be crystal clear. And then we went into the about section, and he did an amazing job of, we talked about, why he wanted to focus on ag and farming, his experience, his background, and we're able to show the years of experience, the companies he's worked for, that adds credibility, that adds experience, it shows the hiring manager that Ben knows what he's doing. And he talked about the difference, right? You can say that you're passionate and that you have a love for recruiting, but if you're focused on a vertical, really speak to why you picked that vertical, why you're invested. And if you can show that to hiring managers, they're going to be more apt to accept your connection request, respond to your message, or just message you directly, right? Because they feel comfortable that you can solve the problem versus the other dozens of recruiters that are hitting them up on a weekly basis. Tris, I'm sure you have some thoughts on this.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was just more like a general topic, and so the way you have all these headlines set up, and like the headlines obviously is, I'm going to take over control of the slides. For
yeah, you can go back. Yeah.
So a lot of this is like really strong, like articulating the messaging of who you're actually trying to speak to and what the problems you solve for. So something that you see quite often is, I help XYZ types of companies get these results, or sometimes too, you'll see in profiles, people do, they put in like their Myers-Briggs results or something like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't say that's absolutely necessary. You want to make sure it's really dialed into who you're trying to speak with. So essentially the way to view your profile is almost, lack of a better word, like a sales page, one of those long explanations about what you're able to do and who you're solving for, and be able to articulate that in a really clear language. So for example, Roland here was focused on these types of startups. So we have like a vertical focus. Now on top of that too is like the sales teams. I believe that, sales and marketing for Terra as well too. So it makes it very clear from 2 aspects. For one, it's going to be really clear to candidates and clients who you're able to solve for and what you help out with, but it's also going to help out your prospecting efforts as well too. So when you start trying to go after specific markets and verticals, if your profile is dialed in and speaking to that pain point, it's going to be a lot more effective to get your foot in the door. So typically people can have really broad language saying like, I'm an innovator, or I'm a passionate, recruiter or something like that, which is great. I'm really glad you guys are passionate because it's your job. But the issue is when you're trying to prospect, you need these people to almost be able to categorize you where you go. I was speaking with someone yesterday, and they were talking about the fact that they came across someone that was able to build sales teams really quickly. And at the moment, they didn't need that person. But 6 months later, they kind of had that person. They took that information. It's like, this person helps my XYZ, my consultancy type of clients build sales teams. So he took that information. Then 6 months later, he knew exactly who he had to go speak with. So by allowing yourself to be categorized in a certain sense in someone's mind allows you a lot more opportunity from a business development perspective and getting that foot in the door, them following up with you in the future. What does that have to do with profiles and about sections? So this is that long text section that people can maybe put a couple paragraphs in their skill sets. In here, what you really want to hit on is like why you're the one to talk about this kind of challenge. I'm having a hard time seeing this. Oh yeah, I can see it now. But yeah, just like kind of like weaving in that background, that story. So we had a client that worked in the direct selling, direct marketing space. And so he was able to tell his story and his background in that world because it is a tight-knit community. Again, too, when you've kind of gone through this transition of you kind of allowing yourself to be categorized, you can speak to those pain points. Like Tara does the same thing with her profile, talking about her background and working with like Medtronics and Stryker and things like that, which are large medical device companies. That's who she's solving for now. So allows, and if Clark has a lot of methodologies too. If you're like, hey, I haven't worked in this space before, I'm interested in getting in here. How do I start messaging around that? But it is a great chance, and I'll let Clark take over again too, but it's a great chance to really allow people to frame up who you are and get really comfortable with working with you. So you're not as much a cookie cutter. It's like that person understands my industry and they're really passionate about it as well too. And the verbiage does that. They don't just tell me they're passionate.
Yeah, that was key with I was talking to Tara a couple weeks ago. She got one of her like best clients this year was someone that we had helped her do outreach for about a year ago. They connected. I think she messaged them. I don't even think she ever got that person. Didn't even got back to her, but they had openings this year. And again, the seed had been planted and they reached back out to her. And I think she's working on like 8 positions for them this year. And that came from just an outreach. And that's the story of recruiting. I mean, I had managers from when I worked at Aerotech that hit me up 3 years after I left looking for mechanics because they knew that I was like focused on that skill trade. And that was even on LinkedIn at the time. But it's just, if you can be crystal clear on that point, people and hiring managers, they will remember, right? And that's maybe all they need to remember for you to kind of reach back out. And that's what you want. You want to cast as wide of a net as possible within your vertical. Like that's the key. And I think maybe like my favorite part to talk about is the results and testimonials, just because this is almost where rarely do I see recruiters have this on their profile. I think it's a huge missed opportunity to talk about the results that you've gotten, right? Recruiters, if you've made some placements or you've changed the lives for the better of a lot of your candidates, hopefully. Now, I know we all run into issues with, people leave after the first week or the first month, right? It's not all roses, but you've had great wins. You've had successes. And if you hone in on your vertical, talk about those successes within those verticals. And that's what Ben did here, right? We started just brainstorming like the work that he had done. And he had some amazing wins within the farming and ag industry. Right? And the key here is make these align to your target audience. Right? So he wants to work with small to medium-sized, farms and agricultural plants. And so, talking about taking a executive, director of finance from a Fortune 500 experience to a startup, right? Startups are always looking for that type of talent to bring into their organization. Right? The time to fill, right? How many clients or hiring managers have you talked to that, this rec's been open for 6 months, we can't find anyone, or people have backed out. Ben had a couple of those situations. He came in, was able to find the right candidate in a week, right? That's huge for these companies, right? You're solving a huge pain point. And, so talk about those wins as relevant and using the lingo that's relevant to your market, right? Farming and agriculture, he uses that lingo. What we talk about, Tristan, with, private equity, right? Using the verbiage, like if you're going after private equity VCs, or if you're going after kind of VP of sales type people, using the wording like quota and stuff like that. So that's, and then, then the putting your contact information at the bottom, whether it's email. I recommend every single one of you have a Calendly or some call link to put in, so hiring managers and people can book calls directly on your calendar. Make yourself accessible. Any thoughts on that, Tristan?
Yeah, I mean, if you're good at what you guys do, you should talk about it. So that helps out
Yeah.
a lot. Again, too, you're always looking to reduce that risk, especially right now. So many people are used to hiring someone, they're gone a couple months later and not sticking around. So if you've got a proven track record and high retention, good at finding quality candidates, especially if you have a network in that industry as well too. So you help out with the vetting side of it too. You become more of a trusted advisor in that process versus just another recruiter that's in that space. So testimonials and results do a really good job articulating that in another way outside of just your about story. So you can talk about how great you are. If you have some kind of testimonials or results they can point to or allude to, it just adds extra credibility and social proof.
Yeah. And it's, in terms of recruiting, I mean, so many recruiters are struggling with, they're asking, hey, do you have any recs I can work on? Do you have any recs? And what a hiring manager said, well, what's your price? What's your rate? What's your rate? So you have to get away from that conversation, that initial conversation. And this is a key way to do it, right? It's, hey, they're lucky to work with you because you're the expert in their field and you know how to solve their problem, right? Like they need to pay you 25%, maybe 30%, right? You can always start high, but start somewhere because they're lucky to work with you because you've solved this problem before, right? People pay for experts, for specialists. If it's more of a generalist type recruiter and there's no vertical or no skill set, it's, they can Google a recruiting company and pick, from the thousands, right? But this makes you kind of the big fish in a smaller pond, which is the key, especially if you're a small agency. You don't need a million clients, right? You need the right 5, 10, 15 clients. And those are all on LinkedIn. So this was Ben's result. I mean, it was pretty awesome. We changed up his profile. He came up with a piece of content that I helped him, put together. He posted it to draw attention to his new profile. This is just with his current connections. And because he was focused on farming, agriculture, the post was relevant to problems that hiring managers have in that industry. He got the attention of a VP of farming that he had worked with, hadn't talked to in over a year, who called him up that afternoon, was like, hey, you got to talk to HR, set him up. They talked within a couple days, qualified 8 recs. So it's about $200,000 pipeline. There's 3 that are urgent that they got to fill in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So we brainstormed about how to have that conversation, all that stuff, to the next steps. And so he immediately went from, okay, how do I get clients? How do I stand out, to now he's a pipeline. Now he has recs to work on and he's going. And it was all within 24 hours, just from the profile and like a piece of content that was about maybe 4 or 5 paragraphs. So like that's the impact and how quickly things can change and you can get the right clients. In his words, it was like, this is a dream type client. Right. And that's what you want, right? You can get a bunch of clients right now, but are you getting great clients, right? Are you getting great job orders? Are you putting yourself in a position where they're respecting you? You're going to get better feedback, et cetera, et cetera. And it starts with that initial impression with your profile. Simply a numbers game. Yeah, absolutely, Thomas. Absolutely. And this is the first step. And then there's ways to do it with, scaling and automation and everything. But I wouldn't recommend doing any of that until you get your profile dialed in, right? Your recruiting brand dialed in, who you solve problems for. All right. So, that's good timing. It's about 15 minutes in. So questions, if anyone has any questions, everyone wants us to maybe look at their LinkedIn profile, you can drop your, URL in the chat. We'd be happy to kind of check it out and kind of get your feedback and, get your thoughts. So feel free to comment and we'll just kind of go from there. Just if you have also any additional thoughts.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back to the title of the whole presentation, which is an asset.
Yeah.
An asset exists and it's able to draw people in even when you're not actively using it. So something you'll start finding as well too is that people are going to start searching for specific keywords. And if you have that in your profile, it's going to start pulling those people up. So that's another piece of the puzzle as well too. If you're hiring for specific types of skill sets, if you are looking for certain kinds of certifications you guys have worked with, I don't know if it'd be as applicable your like specific recruiting specific certifications, but that type of work is really useful because what it does is it allows that profile to be a magnet for others. So you have
Yeah.
the right keywords and all that kind of stuff. So it's an asset. So even when you're not actively trying to work it necessarily, like not saying this is always going to happen, be ideal. People can come across your profile and find it. You know, if they're looking for specific job orders or anything like that, you guys are the ones to find it. So again, too, it's like a living asset. It's almost like a website that you have out there. That's it, because it's a LinkedIn ecosystem is going to have some level of traction.
Absolutely.
All right, Daniel
Let me
Hernandez.
throw his profile in here so I can share. I wonder, can I bring?
Oh yeah, I'll let you. I don't know how to work the technical side of stuff with that.
I mean, I'm figuring it out too, but I can at least share the screen.
Should just be that share screen box, right?
I think I got it. Hold on.
Nice.
Can we see it?
Sweet.
Wow, just becoming a tech expert over here.
Oh, good. Thanks for sharing this, Daniel, by the way.
Appreciate it, Daniel.
Take a look.
All right, so cloud solutions, go to.
Nice.
So let's check out. All right, so if I was a hiring cloud solutions. Okay. So initial thoughts would be adding a little something to the headline here about specifically the problems that you solve for, probably your ideal market, right? And you can comment in the chat kind of if you have like an ideal client profile and really speaking towards that, because this is pretty broad. I'm sure there's a lot of people that this could speak to. So hone in a little bit here. I do like the start. There's a little bit of a start in the story here of maybe kind of, but I don't know if the farming story is related to your cloud solutions. So I think there's a way to maybe tie that together. What thoughts, Tristan?
Yeah, something else too. I mean, because like in your banner, you have some information that's specifying. It looks like billing solutions. Clark, can you scroll up real fast?
Oh, sorry. Let's go.
Yeah, like billing solutions, FP&A. So it sounds like fairly specific solutions to who you're serving. So we need more details on that, obviously. But what that does is that's great to have in your headline, like in your banner. That's just fantastic. But the issue is you got to think if I'm on my phone on me. Yeah, here I do. So if I get an invitation from you on my phone, on my LinkedIn app, and you send me something, I'm not going to see that banner. All I'm going to see is that little bit of the headline. So you're going to want to include that as actually part of your headline. So it's Daniel Hernandez. We have Recruiter 360 Cloud Solutions. I would put in who you're serving and like what that actual focus is. Because you got to remember these people that you're trying to connect with, both candidates and hiring managers, they're only going to see that little snippet, especially if they're on their phone. So that headline's super crucial to getting that door open because you're kind of relying on them to check out the profile to learn a bit more because it does look like you have a specialty. So I honestly, all I want to do is just flush that out with you and frame it up a little bit more. And you've been in the space long enough too. I know you have plenty of results and credibility as well too. So I would be hinting at that in the profile as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of experience here. So I think highlighting what we talked about earlier, like the testimonials, the results, get crystal clear on, the clients that you want more of, right? The recs that you want to work more of, and highlight that in kind of your story. And you can tie together kind of maybe what inspired you to start your own business because of your grandfather, you kind of came into, helping companies with their cloud solutions. And that could be, in the manufacturing companies with their cloud. I'm just throwing something out there, but kind of whoever that is, again, we want to see that here. Your clients want to see that here. And I'm just highlighting some of those wins. So that would be what I would focus on, along with like what Tristan said. And that's just going to go a long way towards being even clearer to your market.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to do Jeremy next?
Yes, sir. Let me
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're running the tech on this one because
Yeah, let me look up his profile here. Jeremy Melton. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna bring him up. Boom. It was fun. There's only one way to figure this out. It's by doing it. Brave tab.
there we go. Jeremy, on deck recruiting. I mean, I gotta make my screen bigger. There we go. Helping companies hire the best. So I would definitely get more specific on what that is because I'm pretty sure most recruiters are trying to hire the best candidates for their clients.
Yes.
You know? So I want to like get like more like visceral on who you're actually helping, more clear.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do have a market you've worked with and all that, but I would just be articulating that a lot sooner.
Yes. Because imagine like sending a connection request to a hiring manager and really anywhere. They're like, oh, another recruiter, right?
Yeah.
Which Jeremy's probably great. I mean, I'm looking at this. Yeah, he's been in it 5 years, been in the industry. I mean, worked at Volt. Like, you have a ton of wins, Jeremy. Like, and like have a specialty. And like, I'm sure you have like those ideal clients, right? That you want more of, right? Speak to that and highlight that.
Okay, you have a bunch of industries. So what I would do is, okay, this is the other thing we didn't talk about yet.
Yeah.
But the one nice thing, people usually freak out because they're like, well, I have to niche down and what's going to happen to me and no one's going to want to talk to me because I'm not in their niche anymore. First of all, if you're good at what you do, it's not going to be an issue. You can specialize and get in that vertical. You'll still get business and referrals in general. But the most important thing is that this isn't like a permanent thing necessarily. So you can change your profile. Like it's as easy as changing your specialty as making a couple tweaks in your profile. So if all of a sudden you lean in heavy on accounting and finance, which I believe, Clark, you have a client that does that. If you just lean out heavy on accounting and finance for business development for like a month, and you're like, well, I actually don't like these guys at all, and I don't really want to work here. Then you go into like, oh, I'm going to work on gaming now. And now you just go heavy on gaming. You just change up a couple parts of your profile. So you're not like married to it. I think that's what sometimes comes up with people believe they're ultimately married to a niche for the rest of their lives and they can never do anything else. But I would allow it if you're starting to do the business development. You're like, hey, I want to actually build my pipeline for the legal side of things or manufacturing or sales and tech, like whatever you're trying to focus on. I would just like milk that as like a business development, like sprint essentially, and just go after that for like 30 to 90 days. And you can always change your profile later on. Even with this though, I'm looking at like healthcare. So healthcare can be super broad. Are you hiring like, why can't I think really clearly? It's like nursing home staff. You're like doing that kind of stuff too. You're probably working nursing homes. You're doing like hospital admin. So getting a little clear around even those because these are pretty broad verticals, legal or accounting, finance. Like, is there a certain tier that you're working at? Is it a specific industry? So I guess again, maybe I'm just misreading because I'm just talking now. But that would be my 2 cents.
It's a great point. I mean, especially if you're working for a company like when I was at Aerotech, there was about 50 different skill sets. I could go after manufacturing, warehouse, logistics, but I honed in on, one of my targets was like mechanics, electricians for food manufacturing. Like that demand was always there. I knew if I put 3 months of effort, 6 months of effort on really prioritizing most of my efforts around that, like I would open a lot, I would open doors, I'd have a candidate pool. I'd have great candidates that I could present quickly. I'd lead with references. I could stand out more and just kind of speak that language. So if you have, 6, 7 different ones in here, use that as an opportunity to kind of chunk it out. You can do it by quarter, by, every 6 months, right? Because the goal is to get great business, right? Make placements. You don't have to be all things to everyone. And it's almost impossible to, and it's really hard to scale and have repeat placements if you're all over the place with different placements and skill sets kind of bouncing from one thing to the other. Because what's going to happen, right? You're focused on, say, accounting and finance, say even accounts payable in a certain industry. You or your recruiters are building a candidate pool, right? So you talk to 10, 15, 20 great candidates for every one role. Well, you also want other places to be able to place all those candidates, right? Only one candidate can get that one role. So that's where part of the strategy in recruiting really lends itself to kind of niching down. You're able to actually have candidates go to a bunch of different clients, and there's a lot of overlap versus like you have accounts in food manufacturing and then helping, legal counsel in video game world, right? There's going to be kind of a 1-for-1 there. You're not giving yourself more opportunities to just have a lot of overlap, be able to submit candidates to a lot of different clients that are pretty similar in similar roles.
This is something else because I'm reading through your profile a little bit now too. So we're talking about like that story to kind of frame you up and what you do. Again, I don't know exactly what market you're going after, but I'm picturing it's probably going to be more like mid-sized businesses, unless maybe you are going
small and mid-size in there. Yeah.
Large ones. Yeah. So what I would do, so you have a really good story where you work with all these Fortune 1000 companies, work with 5 of the Fortune 500, and it's almost a little bit buried in there. And so I would say like, hey, I've worked at the top, like going after like some of working with like high level performers at the largest organizations in the entire world. And my job now too is to help small business market find the same kind of candidates for their own businesses. So I kind of like take it and like make it into like a little bit of a sales pitch. It's like the reason you can identify these types of candidates and these types of quality individuals is because you were there. You know, someone could talk about like, oh yeah, I could go find them, but they don't know. They haven't seen someone that had to execute with billion-dollar budgets before. And you can pick up that core skill set of what made that person good. Maybe they didn't work there before, but you know what to look for in an individual that's capable of performing at a really high level that others can't. So that would probably be the angle I'm leaning towards. And that kind of touches on, there was a client that Clark and I worked on, and she went after like private equity firms, and she wanted to talk about that stuff. And we were like, well, how do we start pulling this into a sales pitch? And the main things, you know, we could say like, oh, we help private equity firms, or I help companies in portfolio companies, hire accounting execs or whatever, you know, some random stuff. But what we said is like, well, we're actually what happens those types of companies is that these are companies going through like M&A. They're going through these large transitions. So it's a specific type of person that I need to find for you that can handle that kind of transition. Yeah. You can have someone that's accounting, finance, or, you know, sales, VP of sales, like recruiter can go find those kinds of people, but that doesn't mean that's the kind of person that can handle that kind of transition. It's a specific type of person that I can get you that you can't find on your own. And most other people competing for this gig can't find either. And that is what I would lean into, is that side. So there's like, we kind of talked about, there's this higher level of like niche, like verticals, industries, and all that. Then there's also like the profile of the people you're able to find and in your network. So I would do something similar with yours, Jeremy. I'm kind of throwing a lot at you. I talk fast too, but
I would record it, so it's all good.
Yeah, I would lean it towards more like, hey, I've like worked with these guys who are just absolute, like working with the top companies in the entire world. I've been there too. I know what it needs to look like to like people that know how to take care of business. Yeah. And I can help your kind of company. You know, you're a mid-sized market in manufacturing out in Wisconsin, but I can help you guys out because I know how to go find those people. And I have a network of those people. I have a network of those people that were at these companies that now want to do something different in their career. And I can bring their skill sets to your business. You know, like that again, too, you're always trying to think about how to frame the pitch, but that's what I'm not a recruiter, so maybe that's a terrible pitch, but I would probably lean towards something like that if I had your background.
Yeah. What's even just highlighting the expertise that you've done it before. And a lot of recruiters are almost scared to put that out there for whatever reason. And it's like, that's what's going to draw hiring managers to you, right? That time to fill, that speed, that knowledge, right? You have access to candidates, but the knowledge and the industry that they don't and that they need help with. So that's what you really want to highlight on the profile. And that's what all this does to your hiring managers. It makes you stand out. Well, 31 minutes in.
Any other profiles for us to?
I think that wraps it up. Yeah. I think that's it.
We're wrap it up.
Like perfect timing on our end. So yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in. If you have any questions, if you want to talk one-on-one, there's a calendar link for me on my profile. Feel free to book a call. Always happy to kind of dive deeper into this. Do have like coaching programs. There's like a tribe membership, like that's for like group calls or community recruiters. People are like split it. They talk about splitting recs and how to optimize all this and digital strategies. So always, feel free to book a call, message either of us if you have any follow up questions. This will be recorded, and I'm sure we'll do some more in the future. So appreciate everyone tuning in, and thank you, Daniel and Jeremy, for volunteering your profiles. And good stuff, Tristan.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
All right, see ya.